Coming up today on Good Morning BU.
Hamas leader was killed Thursday in an Israeli operation.
And a group of Harvard professors join a study-in to protest the university's regulations on free speech.
The BU Grad Workers Union ends their 206-day strike after an agreement with BU.
A star player for the New England Patriots faces a run-in with police.
New lawsuits against Diddy are filed as more individuals come forward.
Live from Studio West in the College of Communication, Good Morning BU starts right now.
Hello, and welcome to Good Morning BU. I'm Addison Cummings.
And I'm Sydney Toff. Here are today's top stories. Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas and the mastermind of the October 7th attacks in Israel, was killed on Thursday. Israeli soldiers near Rafah killed Sinwar and two other Hamas operatives. His body was later brought to Israel and identified through dental records and DNA testing. In a speech yesterday, Vice President Kamala Harris responded to Sinwar's death by calling him a terrorist.
He had American blood on his hands. Today, I can only hope that the families of the victims of Hamas feel a sense and measure of relief.
Harris assured that the U.S. continues to work to resolve this conflict.
Now turning to the situation in Israel and Lebanon. There were 146 Israeli attacks on Lebanon at the beginning of this week, with at least 41 people killed and 124 injured. The number of Israeli attacks in Lebanon has now topped 10,000. In retaliation for the rising number of attacks, 90 rockets have been fired towards Israel near the northern city of Haifa. The UN has warned that Israel has been sealing off northern Gaza and causing a large-scale forced transfer of civilians, which it said would amount to a war crime.
Shifting the focus to Eastern Europe, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky unveiled a victory plan to lawmakers on Wednesday with hopes of ending Russia's war in Ukraine no later than next year. The plan includes an invitation for Ukraine to join NATO, permission to use Western-supplied missiles, and more air defense assistance from allies. Later that day, President Joe Biden introduced a new $425 million military aid package equipped with air defense capability, air-to-ground munitions, and armored vehicles. Zelensky thanked the United States for its, quote, readiness to help Ukraine strengthen its positions to compel Russia towards honest diplomacy.
Moving closer to home, former One Direction star Liam Payne died on Wednesday after falling from his balcony in his Buenos Aires hotel room. An autopsy report determined that Payne's death was a result of trauma from the fall and that there were no signs of defense wounds. While a toxicology report has yet to be released, witnesses reported Payne appeared to be under the influence before his death. Investigators also found evidence of narcotics and alcohol in Payne's hotel room. Payne's former One Direction band members released a joint statement mourning Payne and sharing their condolences.
A Mississippi bridge collapsed during demolition preparation on Wednesday, leaving 3 on-site workers dead and 4 critically injured. The bridge had been closed since September 18th, and 7 workers were using heavy machinery on site when it collapsed. The Mississippi Department of Transportation said the closure and demolition were part of a bridge replacement project.
The Catholic Archdiocese of Los Angeles has agreed to pay $888 million to more than 1,300 survivors of clergy sexual abuse. The settlement dates back all the way to the 1950s, and this is the largest single child sex abuse settlement involving a Catholic archdiocese in the U.S. Morgan Stewart, an attorney who helped lead negotiations, called the settlement historic. Some sexual abuse survivor groups applauded the settlement but criticized the church for what they describe as an intentional cover-up. Dan McNevin, leader of a survivor group in California, says that they are settling these cases because they're afraid to expose these cases to juries. The church says it has implemented safeguards to prevent future abuse.
With the election just weeks away, the Biden-Harris administration is shining a spotlight on its student debt relief efforts. Since taking office, the Biden-Harris team has canceled over $175 billion in student loans for more than 5 million borrowers. A lot of this comes from the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, which has been revamped to help public sector workers like teachers and nurses after 10 years of payments. Another $4.5 billion in forgiveness was announced on Thursday for about 60,000 borrowers. Even though the Supreme Court blocked Biden's bigger debt relief plan last year, the administration is still pushing forward with ways to ease the student debt burden.
The Harris campaign is adopting a new tactic, starting with her Fox News interview that aired on Wednesday. The new Democratic strategy involves using conservative media outlets to reach predominantly Trump-supporting audiences. During the interview with Fox's Bret Baier, both parties got heated and began talking over each other while discussing pertinent issues like immigration. Harris's running mate Tim Walz has also been engaging with Fox News, appearing on 2 Fox News Sundays in a row.
The first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the... Yes, ma'am.
May I finish?
In other campaign news, Harris has secured a vote from former President Jimmy Carter, who achieved his goal of voting for Harris before he passes.
From one presidential candidate to the next, there's been an update regarding former President Donald Trump's July assassination attempt. On Thursday, an independent review panel released a report outlining the security failures that occurred during this incident. The panel recommended the Secret Service replace its leadership and shift its focus heavily to its protective mission. Just 10 days after the assassination attempt, this leadership change came from the former director, Kimberly Cheadle's resignation.
Check the ground meat in your fridge. Public health officials announced that 11 million pounds of ready-to-eat poultry is being recalled after inspection by the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Food Safety and Inspection Services. The Oregon-based company Bruce Pack ships to stores across the country, including Aldi, Trader Joe's, Target, Publix, and more. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is urging people to check the items in their freezer and be vigilant to any symptoms.
Walgreens is looking to potentially close over 2,000 underperforming stores in the next 3 years. The chain has struggled to compete with competitors like CVS and Rite Aid, as well as retail theft and the rising cost of running brick-and-mortar pharmacies. CEO Tim Wentworth told the AP, quote, "We're at a point where the current pharmacy model is not sustainable." Don't go away. Up after this break, we have your local news updates.
Be right there. Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel. Then make sure it's cool.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
Bro, you gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's a white people thing.
Escúchame, en esta casa los hombres no lloran.
You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
Thanks for hearing me out, bro. Appreciate it.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad. Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back. Immigration is affecting many different states across the U.S., and Massachusetts is no exception. Talks of immigration have been a main point in some community elections, like Carver and Ashland. Straight Representative candidate John Gasky won the GOP primary with the platform emphasizing immigration. Residents in different areas of Massachusetts, like Norfolk, are in a state of uproar over the massive influx of immigrants. A Suffolk University poll surveying voters in the Boston Globe concluded that the state should offer migrants temporary shelter. If they are here illegally, however, voters said that they should be deported.
Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren and her opponent, John Deaton, debated twice on GBA this week. Warren emphasized her loyalty to Massachusetts and her long history in Congress, while Deaton presented himself as a moderate Republican, unaffiliated with Trump. The first debate on Tuesday focused on immigration and abortion rights, two topics that have been heavily discussed in campaigns this election season. The second debate on Thursday covered foreign policy and the future of the economy in Massachusetts.
I think there's a fundamental question here about who you can trust. And I think you can't trust someone like John Deaton with power.
Let me tell you this. I've made mistakes in my life and I've owned them, but I've never claimed to be someone or something I'm not.
Some polls predict the Senate majority will flip from Democratic to Republican control after this election.
In a recent New Yorker article, Patrick Clancy shares his perspective on the deaths of his 3 children. Clancy's wife, Lindsay, has been charged with first-degree murder for allegedly strangling Cora, Dawson, and Callan back in January of 2023. Sources say Lindsay was suffering from postpartum depression. Patrick revealed he hadn't spoken to his wife for months after the incident, but they have since reconnected to discuss the tragedy. Lindsay's mental health and prescription medications are central to her defense, raising broader concerns about postpartum care in this country.
In a different trial update, prosecutors in the Karen Reed murder trial are pushing for Reed to face all charges in January at the case's retrial. The prosecution submitted a document to the state's Supreme Judicial Court on Wednesday, supporting Judge Beverly Cannoni in the court's mistrial ruling. The prosecution's brief was responding to the defense's motion from last month, which urged the court to drop the charges of second-degree murder and leaving the scene of the accident. The defense claimed the jury was only deadlocked on one of the charges and planned to acquit Reed on the other 2. They also said that retrying Reed exposes her to the risk of multiple prosecutions. The American Civil Liberties Union submitted a brief for supporting this defense. As of today, there has been no response from the court.
Moving over to Cambridge, 30 Harvard professors joined a student study-in Widener Library on Wednesday to protest Harvard's regulation of free speech on campus. Students and faculty silently read next to signs promoting free speech. This comes after 12 students were suspended from the library for protesting Israel's attacks on Lebanon through a similar study-in. Harvard University said it's still gathering facts about the study-in and has not decided if these newest demonstrations will face any consequences.
From professors to puppies, the city of Boston is appointing its first ever dog mayor as part of a community development project. 175 dogs were considered in this election, and the field has been narrowed down to just 5 dogs, now campaigning in the Pooch primaries. Bark the Vote 2024, as the initiative is called, recognizes the profound impact dogs have on the Boston community. The winner will be announced on November 1st during the inauguration, and it will take place in March of 2025, where they will also receive an official portrait in Barksworth Manor, the ceremonial mayor's house.
It's tea time! A new report says that the Green Line train that derailed earlier this month was traveling at 36 miles per hour in a 10-mile-per-hour zone. The report from the National Transportation Safety Board said the train passed through a stop signal while traveling at 3 times the speed limit and continued moving on a switching track, which caused it to derail. The MBTA is reviewing the initial report, and the train operator is on leave while the MBTA completes its investigation. Stay tuned for campus updates and all things BU news coming up next.
wonder if you know that I want the best for you. I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that the big homie needs help too. You can't just rebound from everything. I know you've been grinding.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
But how long will you fight solo? I wonder if you know that we can get help. I wonder why we waited so long. I'm not wondering anymore. Love, your mind. Let's see how far we can go.
Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted.
Welcome back. This Sunday, BU's very own Center for Data and Computing Science is coming to the big screen. The Smithsonian Channel is featuring the CDS building on its show, How Did They Build That? The show explores unique buildings from around the world, such as a sky garden in Singapore and a research station in Antarctica. CDS was chosen for the show because of its unique design and the fact that it is Boston's largest fossil fuel-free building. Tune in this Sunday at 9 p.m. to hear from BU staff and architects about what went into building CDS and why it is so special.
The Boston University Grad Workers Union agreed to end their 206-day strike on Wednesday. The strike began in March, demanding higher wages, improved health care, and cost of living adjustments. On Wednesday, BU agreed to raise the grad workers' stipends, but made no changes to the student health insurance offered. Despite BU not meeting all of their demands, 87% of the union voted in favor of BU's contract, and striking grad workers returned to work on Thursday.
With Election Day only 17 days away, BU hosted its first Terrier Turnout Week to motivate students to cast their ballots. Our campus correspondent, Maria Pemberton, caught up with event organizers to discuss her plans.
All registered voter, have you already voted?
This week, Boston University student government and various BU organizations teamed up for Terrier Turnout Week to encourage students to register to vote. To kick off the week, BU's first civic engagement fair was held at Marsh Plaza on Tuesday. Sean Waddington, co-chair of the Terrier Turnout Committee, says that many students are out-of-state voters, and these events help provide access to registration and absentee ballots.
But the idea is to get people thinking about voting and to kind of meet them where they're at as they're coming, walking through Marsh Plaza between classes and see pie. We're reminding them, vote and you can get some pie. Or come enjoy a cool event where we get to relax and paint some pumpkins and make sure you mail in your absentee ballot.
On Wednesday, the Newberry Center sponsored a yoga class at FitRec to support well-being during this election season. Maria Erb, executive director of the Newberry Center, said it was important to be involved this week because the first-generation college students they represent are directly affected by educational policy.
If students are low income, funding like Pell Grants and federal financial aid, all of that's tied into government and who's making the policies.
Tony Wu, co-chair of the Terrier Turnout Committee, said that the organization hopes to address the gaps between voting registration and voter turnout rates in the BU student body.
Around 80% of BU students will register to vote, but only 70% were actually voting. Our ultimate goal is to encourage people to vote at both the municipal, state, and federal level.
If you missed the first couple events from Terrier Turnout Week, do not worry. On Saturday, there's a voting scavenger hunt, and on Sunday, there is Jeopardy, trivia, and bingo. Visit BU Student Gov's Instagram for more information. I'm Maria Pemberton, reporting for GMBU.
Thank you, Maria. BU is hosting their Family and Friends Weekend from October 18th to October 20th. The The weekend is packed with hockey games, musical performances, and of course the head of the Charles Regatta party. In addition to everyone traveling to Boston for BU's Family and Friends weekend, the head of the Charles Regatta has attracted hundreds of thousands of rowers since it's the first run in 1965. Since it is the world's biggest regatta, the turnout is predicted to be tremendous. Coming up next, the MLB playoffs, a Patriot player accused of Providence police racism, and a PR mistake made by a new women's soccer team in Boston.
Be right there. Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel. Then make sure it's cool.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
Bro, you gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's a white people thing.
Escúchame, en esta casa los hombres no lloran.
You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it? Thanks for hearing me out, bro.
When do we switch?
Appreciate it.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad. Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
Welcome back. As the MLB postseason heats up, teams like the Dodgers, Yankees, and Mets are still battling for a shot at the World Series. But for the Red Sox, they're once again left watching from the sidelines, and it's becoming tough for fans to watch this.
That's right, Addie. Since trading Mookie Betts to the Dodgers in 2020, the Sox have been struggling to stay competitive. Meanwhile, former Red Sox stars like Betts and Xander Bogaerts are shining in the postseason for other teams, which makes it even harder for Boston fans to watch.
And it doesn't help that Boston's payroll has been shrinking while big market teams continue to spend heavily on star talent. Without those big swings, the Red Sox are being left behind in the playoff race.
Exactly, Addie. And with another 500 season, Red Sox fans are starting to wonder, will their team ever get back to the top? Or is this the new normal?
Only time will tell. But for now, it's another long offseason for Boston.
The New England Patriots are now dealing with fallout after one of their star players had a run-in with the police. Around 1 a.m. on Wednesday in Providence, Rhode Island, Patriots defense lineman Christian Barmore was captured on police body cam footage during a traffic stop. Barmore took to X that morning, citing the traffic stop as racist and unprofessional. The post was later deleted. Barmore reportedly had an attitude toward police and handed his paperwork over in an aggressive manner. Barmore is facing several charges, and the Providence Police Union is calling on him to issue a public apology.
Boston Nation Football Club, Boston's new National Women's Soccer League franchise, received backlash after name reveal and brand launch. On Tuesday, the program became the 15th National Women's Soccer League franchise, and it revealed its Too Many Balls campaign. The ad features Boston sports teams like the Patriots, Celtics, and Red Sox, which are all male professional teams. Viewers criticized the ad for focusing on male athletes rather than promoting female strength. On Wednesday, Boss Nation acknowledged that the campaign did not promote a welcoming environment and apologized for their mistakes.
Are you excited? The world's largest 3-day rowing event, the head of the Charles Regatta, is happening in BU's backyard this weekend. Here's our sports correspondent, Alexa Podolsky, with more.
Whatever it takes to find our rhythm, whatever it takes to find the rhythm before the start of the piece.
Boston University men's rowing is getting ready for the biggest race of the year, the head of the Charles Regatta.
It's a great race. It's early in the season. The results don't dictate what the spring is going to be, but it's a race that we take seriously because it's right here in Boston. The team really loves to row in it. Like, it's the biggest rowing regatta in the world. It's important for us to feel like we have a good performance.
The Terriers' excitement radiated from their boats as they rowed the course's 3 miles just 4 days before race day.
Feels exciting.
This is going to be my 4th time doing it, and every year it feels a lot better.
The team practices 6 days a week by simulating races on the Charles River and training in the weight room. But despite 6 a.m. call times, sore muscles, and less than ideal weather, the Terriers find that the team's camaraderie makes it all worth it.
I think that it really just feels like a family. Just knowing that you get to do this with the same guys every single day. You build relationships with your class from the beginning, and then every year new guys come in. Just knowing that even after college, like, these guys are going to be your family forever. So it's just beautiful.
The seniors and graduate students use the days leading up to their final Head of the Charles to reflect on their experiences and the legacy they want to leave behind.
Like, the guys that have gone through this team, before me and with me, have really influenced who I am. And I think one of the things I've realized is it's really about leaving the program off better than when you came in. If I can do that, and then the guys after me can do that, and it just keeps going, like, that's what's going to make this team successful.
The Head of the Charles Regatta begins on Friday and lasts throughout the weekend. Coach Bohr says that afterwards, the team will be honing in on their skills, working in the weight room and rowing in pairs in preparation for the International Championships in the spring. For Good Morning BU, I'm Alexa Podolsky.
Thank you, Alexa. After the break, we have the latest updates on the Diddy case, controversy at the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and a supermoon spotting.
Be right there. Wait. Use the shovel and bucket of water, remember? Drown, stir, drown, feel. Then make sure it's cool.
Where'd you learn that?
SmokeyBear.com. Brushed up on some tips before we left. Don't want to start a wildfire, right?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back. After four more people came forward and filed lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs, Sean Diddy says that the government should identify the alleged victims in a sex trafficking case after 4 more people came forward and lawsuits against him were filed. Combs' defense lawyers wrote a letter to U.S. District Judge Arun Subramani saying, without clarity from the government, Mr. Combs has no way of knowing which allegations the government is relying on for purposes of indictment. The prosecutors, however, are sticking to standard protocol and keeping the victims' names off the public record for their own safety.
After a 6-year hiatus, the Victoria's Secret fashion show reopened its wings Tuesday. Not only did this year's show feature products viewers could buy online, but it also included iconic Victoria's Secret angels like Bella and Gigi Hadid, Tyra Banks, and Adriana Lima. While executives grappled with controversies, some viewers still were unimpressed with the company's budgeting and attempts at addressing diversity and size inclusion.
Last night, skywatchers were treated to a spectacular sight with the appearance of the Hunter's Moon, one of the year's 4 supermoons. This event came at a remarkable time, coinciding with a rare northern lights display across the northeastern U.S., and ahead of a once-in-a-lifetime comet expected to make its appearance this Saturday night.
And that's going to do it this week at Good Morning BU.
But before we go, we'd like to give a shout out to one of our fabulous producers and fellow anchors, Sophia Falbo, who celebrated her birthday on Wednesday. We are incredibly thankful for all that Sophia does for the show, and we can't wait to see what she does with another year that is sure to be filled with success.
I'd also like to shout out my family, who is here in the studio with us. Love you guys. From all of us here on the GMBU team, thank you so much for watching. I'm Addison Cummings.
And I'm Sydney Toff. Stay safe and have a great weekend.